We're here with head coach Jeff Knarr. It's 11 a.m. every Thursday for on the Jeff Knarr Coaches Show here on Facebook Live. And Coach, coming off last week's 28-13 loss at number 13 Del Val. I mean, you guys did some. We talked about it after that game. You guys played well, did some really good things. Looking back, you've looked at film. What are you happy with after that game?
I thought we kind of we talked about be able to get off the mat, take some take their shots, and then no matter whatever happened, be able to respond. And then the game didn't start the way we want from that standpoint, and then our kids responded like the way we wanted to. You got to respond positively to whatever bad may happen from that deal. And then they did, and then we went on and executed the game plan which we wanted, which was we needed to possess the football, eat up the clock, and then be able to string first downs. And then that drive for the touchdown to tie it was a 9-minute drive over 75 yards. The first quarter was ticking away, and we knew that does opposite of what they like to do, and they seemed a little restless about it and not handling it. And the first half was kind of what we envisioned a little bit, and then we had 20 minutes of time of possession and things from that. So we kind of did execute things there. Thought we get the screen game going. That was did well from that deal. Try to limit the big plays that they had offensively. Against our defense, we kind of did all did that for the most part. But it kind of boiled down to we had a chance off of a turnover, and weren't able to capitalize. They capitalized on our 2 turnovers to get 14 points. And then field position, some of the things there. I mean, they had their 3 scoring drives, that they had. Then the end of the half, and then the 2 in the first half, started on our side, the 50, and you can't do that with the 13th ranked team in the country.
Yeah, definitely. I mean, like you said, it was just those 2 turnovers that turned into points and kind of just happened from there. But, when you look back, I mean, coming off a pair of losses, even though they were both close and both good games, are you making any big changes, or is it kind of just minor tweaks here and there, or?
That's what it is, just minor tweaks, and try to talk about again being consistent for 4 quarters, and then then working on finishing things off one way or the other from that deal. I mean, we're still defensively doing a great job on third down and getting up. At one of the drives we talked this week we're doing some things where it's 4 down territory, and so you step on third, but then you got to step on 4 because they did convert 2 fourth downs to keep drives going from that deal. And then again when we get into that low red zone, we got to come out with points and be consistent in our kick game and everything from there. So it's about just being consistent for longer periods of time and be able to finish drives, finish halves, finish games, finish plays, working on those kind of things.
Here with head coach Jeff Knarr, the Kings football team here every 11 a.m. on every Thursday for the Jeff Knarr Coaches Show. And Coach, you look at your defensive line, it really started to dominate. I mean, that line, I mean, they've come together. The group is a little bit younger at space, but you still have Yuzu obviously back. Talk about how you've seen that defensive line kind of just gel and come together.
I mean, that was a huge deal for us coming into the season, was that, the depth on the D-line. Not a lot of guys had, played a ton, and then, looking for Izu to continue to make the progressions, that he should as a junior from there. And then, just Seam was a highly recruited kid, and we were hoping that as a freshman he can come in, figure out, because they were, you're looking for guys that can make plays, on the D-line, and they're kind of explosive, powerful, playmaking, type guys from there. And Miles is a playmaker, and Miles killed himself in the offseason, got himself, changed his body, got bigger, stronger, to be able to hold up more on the D-line and not just be that edge rush guy. He can, be physical presence in the run game, and he's done a really good job there. And then, Dallas Solomon, has come in and done a good job as a freshman to help, spill, time in there. And then, we go to through the 2 deep from that standpoint, helping us out. And then, you'll just see them do the rotations and then goes with those 3 guys, be able to play, more snaps from there. And then getting some Jimmy Hunter's healthy now and starting to, come back in the mix. Dylan Leone's helped us in spots, from there. And then, Jake Weatherspool's a freshman coming along, giving us some reps, inside, from that deal. Mike Karazinski, again, taking steps from a freshman to a sophomore year, and then doing a really good job and playing hard. So again, the depth is developing, and those kids are getting better every week. But then we're seeing good things from Izu like we wanted, and then Jasim is doing the things you saw in recruiting and in Miles. So those 3 have been the anchor, and then it was about the supporting cast. And the supporting cast, those guys work hard. They're getting better every week because that's the one position we're going to rotate and play 6-7 guys or more every game.
Talk about the depth. I mean, you're seeing it a lot now with your younger guys. I mean, they're kind of, they were young at first and they're still young, but at least now they're experienced, and you're starting to see a little bit more guys like, Carcio and Hazelton, Solomon, Sherrod had a good game at Del Val. How are you feeling about your younger depth right now?
It's really good, and like we kind of talked a little bit about it, is that they're closer to being sophomores than they were to freshmen. I mean, we're beyond the halfway point, of the whole totality of the season. We have five games left, but all the weeks involved. So they're on the back end there, and you should start to see them all rise up. Carcio, Hazelton, getting good, solid high school football players that we know could be good college football players. Tion, the same thing. And then as they got some JV games under their belt, got accustomed to being a college football player, and you see their talent come forward. And the thing we were impressed, kind of those three, especially Carcio and Hazelton, kind of shared it. When we lose Tommy, on the very first play of the game on kick return, they stepped in, and then Tion in the stage, wasn't too big for them. That they handled, that stage. They weren't intimidated, by that. They just played football. They realized after, I'm a freshman in their 13th ranked team, but it's just a football game, and they approached it like that, and they played and did a lot of good things, and they're getting better, every week, and they're huge in the kick game for us, and they're starting to be huge help, for us on defense. Those three guys.
So on Alvernia this week, obviously for Alvernia coming off, I mean, you could argue their biggest win in school history. One of the best rushing offenses in the country. They're actually 10th in rushing attempts. They're 12th in rushing yardage per game. Obviously, led by Malcolm Carey and their quarterback Darius Sample. How do you stop that rushing attack?
We got to be again do our 111th be assignment perfect, because the running back's really, really good, but the quarterback, he's heavily involved in the run game, and so. He'll hand it to him, but he can run, and he's maybe one of the most deadly running quarterbacks in our conference that we've seen on film so far. So everyone's got to do their job, be in the right gap, do the assignments from that deal, from there. So if you're assigned to the tailback, you got to go to the tailback. Assigned to the quarterback, got to go to the quarterback. If we got two guys going to one, the kid's either going to give it or pull it, and knowing that he's got the advantage, and then it's going to be a problem. And then when the kid passes, if he's contained. He'll throw it, but when he breaks contain, he's got no problem tucking it and run. And he's made tons of plays, with his feet, and got long yardage and got them out of long third and longs with his feet. And I mean, he's extremely athletic and fast, and then he's also powerful. I mean, he's hard. Watching him, people are bouncing off of him. Sometimes it takes more than one guy to tackle him, and then the tailbacks, it always takes more than one guy to tackle him as well. So we're working on tackling with our kids and understanding gang tackling. The first guy's got to get in there, run our feet, be good form, and then everybody else has got to keep pursuing the ball and not realize, not think, okay, well, he's got to tackle, I'll just start to throttle down. No, we need everyone running to the ball, and gang tackle those two guys, because they are, very athletic and very explosive.
We talked about Alvernia. They're young, obviously. I mean, the second year program, they're starting a ton of freshmen and some sophomores. Do you try to take advantage of that younger, maybe a little bit inexperienced group as you scheme, or is it something that, I mean, if it happens to the kind of the scheme, or if not, is it something that you kind of try to take advantage of during
every week we always look at, like you mentioned earlier in the year, we were able to tell you kind of, offensively we like to take, score quickly at times, but then we have no problem methodically moving it down the field and that balance. And so you're always looking at, can we get a defense that is set, or certain things where they're going to get their safeties involved, and we can get behind them. So that's a constant given, no matter the age of the people that are back there, from that deal. You're always looking, can you get a quick one? Can we take a shot that will loosen things up to help the run game? Because everyone knows that we're going to run the ball a lot with, JD. So we have to be able to make sure we continue to throw the ball judiciously and efficiently and effectively, the mid-range stuff, and then take shots and then hit those shots, when they get dialed up, from that standpoint. So I don't get caught up with what the thing says after their name, because they're running around, they're playing with a lot of confidence. They play very sound, football. They're very sound, especially when you get 3-by-1 stuff. So if they get you to, passing situations, their coverages have been, very sound and very, very good. So, if we could run the football, that kind of maybe can dictate, how things get run offensively for us, and they could throw from there and, maybe get a shot, because if we're running the ball, now they got to do something different, and that exposes them to potentially hit a big play. So we always look for that in film, and try to come up with some plays that take advantage of that if that situation arises.
One person we've seen stepping up over the last couple of weeks is your junior H-back, Braden Cohen. they don't really have an H-back section for in receptions on the NCAA website, but as he's listed as a tight end, he actually leads the nation in receptions right now for a tight end. So,
that's awesome.
I mean, is it something that you guys really wanted to try to do, was get him the ball a little bit more this year, especially lately?
Well, one, we know he arguably has the best hands on our team. I mean, that catch he had last Saturday for a touchdown, that's not how you really draw that play up, but, he found the spot, he sat down, he made a great behind-the catch, and found a way to win, and he found a way to make a play, and then he does that. He's healthy. That's the big thing, because he fits what we want as H-back. We want to throw the ball, to our H-back, because the middle of the field a lot of times is open, and you can exploit some things in there. But the key to make our offense work is the H-back has got to be able to block and be physical. Otherwise, they get treated as a receiver, and defenses will adjust accordingly, and then maybe they have to match up, over an H-back from there. But if you can keep them and spread them out, now he has mismatch because of his size, and he can run well. And they can't, they got to treat him as a tight end, but it's a tight end that can flex out and do things. So he fits the mold. When we had, Trey Campbell had 40-some catches, and it was all conference, and he caused problems, in the pass game that way. And Cohen causes problems for people in the pass game. But Cohen's worked really hard and improved greatly. As you said, he's improved the last few weeks. It's basically with his run blocking. He's done a great job for us, run blocking the last few weeks from there to help, our outside run game specifically. And that's going to create problems for defenses because they know that he lends with a tight end, he can go over passes and block, but then they can spread him out, and they just can't discount him that all right, he's a wide receiver, he's not going to be attached to the tackle, and we can get into pass type defenses. Teams can't do that. They look at him and they got to treat it as could be 21 personnel or 12 personnel, 11 personnel, where he can be a true tight end and then flex him out, and that gives us multiplicity with our offense. So he's it's great that he's healthy because he's doing the things that we envisioned that he can do when we recruited him.
Coach, I want to kind of go back to Alvernia, and head coach Ralph Clark is in his second year at Alvernia, but there's some ties obviously to the program with Quincy, and just talk about the job that Coach Clark has done there in starting a program, and just kind of the respect that you have for him as a coach and what he's doing there.
I think they're doing a phenomenal job. I mean, it's hard to start a program. I don't know if they played any JV games that first year, or not. So you do everything from scratch, and then you just think of like all the things you need. Like I know a buddy of mine when he started a program, they forgot to order the kicking tees. Just kind of some things go for a given, and then it's kind of exciting because then your hand is in your footprints on everything, but. It's also daunting because it's everything, in there. And then I think they have great support. Obviously, for football to be successful or any sport you launch at a school, the school's got to support it and really want it and give you the resources and understand, and be willing to grow and make the adjustments that's needed when you start a program, especially with football, with the numbers and, the cost and everything from that deal. Then he's done a great job with his kids. I mean, you just see the maturation as he went on last year. They were playing very competitive football, kind of got beat up when we saw them, and then the rest of the year they were, running on fumes with bodies and health. This year they're in a much, I think, better situation, and you just see them playing, much better football. As they grow, the kids are bought in, they're excited to play, for the school, for each other, and it shows up on film. I mean, the sidelines are jumping up and down before kickoffs, getting excited. Ralph's a great guy, got to know him. Through the years there, and obviously through recruiting, Quincy, he made it known right away. Quincy wasn't going to go to Alvernia, and he was just trying to find the best fit for Q, and we're it, and it's been a great relationship, that way. So it's really good to see them make the progress that a young program, has. And I probably, if you talk to other people that have started programs, they may be ahead of schedule than some schools that have started football from scratch.
Coach, last question. We like to end it with a fun-ish question. But again, last week was a football question, and we want to keep it kind of tied into football. And, as you look back, or, who are some coaches in the collegiate realm of football that you try to maybe emulate your style around? Who are people that you admire as coaches, or people, if you look at, you sit down on a Saturday evening after hopefully a win, and you say, hey, I want to watch this game because I want to see this guy coach. Is there anybody out there that just sticks out for you?
Yeah, there's a few. I mean, first of all, like coming how we run our program is what I learned at Muhlenberg. I mean, Mike Donnelly is my ultimate mentor, and I think anyone in coaching profession has somebody like that who's been a mentor that's helped them get where they want to go. And with it, a lot of things that Duke did at Muhlenberg kind of translates what Nick Saban does is the process, and not worry about the result. It's worry about the process to get to the result. And if you take care of the the process and everything like there to do that, then the result is somewhat favorable. So we look at a lot of things in the offseason from there. We had a chance to visit Michigan State a few years back, and then the way Coach Antonio runs his program and some of the things that they incorporate in there, we've been able to incorporate into our program. I think he does a really good job from that standpoint. But then just see some things that are like what Oklahoma and Oklahoma State. I mean, offensively, just to see what they do, from a scheme standpoint. I mean, there was some kind of stat like I think all the plays that Lincoln Riley's called as the OC and head coach at Oklahoma averages 7.5 yards a play. From every play the time he's been there. That's amazing. So we spent a lot of time studying their film and things, and then Michigan's defense kind of play their pressure and man and want to run to the football, and so we kind of like to watch them on a Saturday defensively from that standpoint. And then Matt Rule, when my daughter at Temple and spent time down at Temple, I really was impressed with how he built that program, and I was really impressed when we were at Muhlenberg. We went this spring, and Al Golden was the head coach at Temple. Coach Rule was an assistant. There was a couple of guys. Coach Foley was assistant. There was other guys there on the staff, and then we left that spring practice in that clinic, and then we said if these guys can't turn Temple around, no one can. And then Al Golden kind of going, and then Coach Rule kind of kept it there, and then to do the things and elevate Temple to a top 25 program was impressive. Then he goes to Baylor and takes over that with all the problems and issues there, and then he's got them in a bowl game in year 2, and now he has them undefeated in year 3. Just his approach to how he handled things, and that's where he got the single-digit tough stuff from. So I find myself trying to find on the TV dial the Fox Sports Network, which is buried on my cable. I was able to watch them against Texas Tech and that double overtime ending of that game. So watch them, and then new Coach Franklin as a player, and like Penn State, and tune into kind of how he does things and stuff from there. So they're kind of the guys you look at and try to figure out can we apply anything to that? Do they have a Division I where they went for nothing to Division III, and how can we make it work with the resources and the time and the facilities and things that we have?
Well, Coach, it's always a pleasure to talk to you to kind of get your thoughts on last week's game, and then obviously into this week's game, and just some other things obviously as we go forward. But Coach, I appreciate your time every Thursday at 11 a.m. for the Jeff Knarr Coaches Show. Appreciate your time again, and good luck on Saturday against Alvernia, and we'll talk to you hopefully after a win.
All right, thank you.